Hey everybody, this is IndieGeek, and today I'm taking a look at Sentris. This is a game by Timbre Interactive, and it is out on Steam Early Access now for PC, Mac, and Linux. It's $20. The price will not change after Early Access release, and I of course will, as always, have a link in the description to the Steam page. But I'm going to jump in here. I am playing with an Xbox 360 controller, and I'm just going to jump in basically with the very beginning of the game. So this is the easiest song and the easiest set of songs with like the basic background, and I'm going to explain what's going on. Basically we have a couple things we can do here. As you can see, I can kind of move between these sets of symbols. I can place them, and then the last thing I can do is I can actually set up chords. So those are basically our abilities here. As far as like the goal, what we're trying to do here, if you couldn't tell already, is we are trying to fill in all of these spots on each one. And obviously this starts out very easy. It does get more difficult. And then as we do that, you can see the track will go around, and you know, we're basically making a music track, although a very odd sort of randomized music track at times, because you know, if you basically I haven't quite learned like which pieces correspond to what notes, things like that, so I don't know how to build nice music yet, you could say. I'm mostly just making these random sounds, but as we go into harder levels, you'll see that we're basically going to be making random sounds anyways. But honestly, that's kind of the gameplay right there. I don't actually know that I need to explain anything else about the gameplay, because that's it. That's kind of the gameplay that we've got going on here, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But yeah, it's not the most complicated gameplay in the world, but it doesn't need to be, I guess you could say. Ooh, that was a nasty sounding one. Might have been like a minor second. It depends on how these are set up. And I don't really feel like busting out my RL skills right now. But anyways, so you know, what we're getting is, you can already see that this is a little bit harder. And this is just the third song in the easy pack of songs. So they definitely do get harder. As far as like the way the game's laid out for like the early access stuff, I think I'm definitely glad to see it as early access, because I really would like to see more, and that's one of the things that is planned for early access, is just more content. And I think that is going to make a fairly big difference, because right now there isn't a ton to the game, you could say. It could definitely use a little more fully fleshed out options. As you saw, like the menu was a little I mean, the developers even make a joke about the menu on the menu, so you know, that the developers obviously know needs a little bit of work, things like that. But you know, overall I'm liking the game so far. It's definitely interesting. I do like these games where your gameplay kind of determines the soundtrack, and it definitely makes for an interesting soundtrack. So, you know, we're getting these really odd sounds right now, just because that's kind of the nature of this, because I'm just kind of matching up random notes, if you will. But yeah, I am going to jump into a harder song now, just to show that the game does get quite a bit more complicated. I think, let's see, as far as like how many songs there are 6 right now, but you can see that there are more packs coming soon, including a tutorial. And that was my other thing that I would like more of, is just like a fleshed out tutorial. You can also play around with like tempo, and you can play around with what key everything's in, all that kind of stuff. So there's actually a lot of options here as far as what you can do with the music itself before playing even. Let's see. The other thing is, I'm not sure, some of the wording was a little unclear, I found on the Steam page, but I would love to see like a level editor, basically, or like a music editor, so you could actually make your own music. But I don't know what the logistics of that are, how complicated that would be, stuff like that. But if it would be possible, that would be awesome. I think that would be a really cool addition to the game, you know? As you can see with the colored blocks, what we had to do was, all we had to do was get a color in there, basically. It didn't matter that we filled it up or anything, we just had to get a color in there at all. So that's how that works out. Alright, that'll work. But you know, this does get somewhat complicated, right? Because the rules are, they kind of evolve, I guess, as you get into harder difficulties, and you come across more difficult situations. So you may have noticed in one of the earlier levels, I got to the point where I was pretty much out of blocks that I could move, right? And what happens when you're out of blocks is that you end up, like on the left there, you can see that red block is it's like not filled in, right? That's because those blocks are being used right now in the level. So if I were to try and use those, what would happen is I would actually lose them. They would come out of the level, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So you know, we do end up kind of with this somewhat strategic gameplay of trying not to lose the blocks that we've already placed. Okay, and at this point, I need to get a green. There we go. But yeah, you know, overall, I think the game is very cool. It's definitely interesting gameplay-wise. I think visually it looks really cool. I'd love to see even more options for these backgrounds, because the backgrounds make for... It reminds me of like a game like Luminous or something, where, you know, the background doesn't actually play that much of a difference into the gameplay, but it's nice to see and it's really cool to look at, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd love to see even more options for the backgrounds show up. And you know, obviously one of the big points of the game is the music itself, and I like the music a lot. I think it's good. I think we've got this really sort of interesting dynamic soundtrack that we get because of all these combinations of things, and you know, I think that's neat. I think it's interesting. It makes for a very interesting package of a game, if you will. And I gotta say, it feels good already in early access. I'm excited to see where it goes from here and what happens next. Like I said, the things that I would love to see, just more music, basically more of everything. I like what's here. I just want more of it. So yeah, that would be awesome. Other than that, though, I am very pleased with the game so far, and I can pretty easily recommend this. I'm having a good time with it, like I said, and also, like I said, I'm just looking forward to seeing more. So, you know, like I said, I will have a link in the description to where you can purchase this for yourself if you feel so inclined. But other than that, feel free to comment if there's really anything you'd like to comment on. If I missed anything that you'd like me to answer, anything like that, you can let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to answer your questions. And then other than that, feel free to subscribe if you want to see more from me every single day. And last of all, if you liked the episode, please do consider clicking the like button. But with that, thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.